normally when we get to this part of the semester, we talk about Supreme, we talk about Tiffany's, we talk about other premium brands by way of some videos. The videos are getting a little bit of age on them. And I don't always know what the current, like really high-end names are, right? So I thought it would be good to bring someone even kind of your age, a little bit older, to talk a little bit about how companies move themselves from being price takers to being price setters, right? And we talked about that on Thursday in our class, how that happens. So I'm going to give a very short intro to Myles so that you will understand why, other than the fact that we're related, why I would invite him to speak. So first of all, he is fairly local. Let's see, what else do I want to say about Myles? Myles is graduated from River Bluff High School in Lexington. So if anyone's from South Carolina, you know where that was. So spent some time at Heathwood, finished at River Bluff. What else? Graduated with a marketing degree, even though his parents strongly encouraged him to major in accounting, even as far as doing a couple summers as an intern with the Big Four, but then sometimes at some point realized that was not his passion and disagreed, went against his parents' advice and decided to do something different. So what else do I want to say? Anything else? So let's start. In about 3 minutes, tell my class a little bit about what do you do and why I might have you come in and talk about retail.
Okay, again, so thanks to my mom for the dazzling intro. But I'm Myles Bell. A lot of people also know me as Easy 803, which is what you call a DBA, doing business as. I own a high fashion showroom in the center of Soho. I know a lot of y'all may be familiar with Kith. My store is actually, around the corner from Kith. I'm also a celebrity stylist, just working on recently, an Apple Music campaign for Cash Cobain, who's one of the hottest artists right now. I'm sure you guys have also heard about him. And then also I own my own creative agency as well. So in this agency, we have talent ranging from, stylists, to models, and then also, even classical painters as well. So it's a little bit about me.
So tell us more about, so since we're talking about today, the high-end goods, tell me a little bit about how you come to know or how your work specifically with luxury brands and luxury merchandise.
Okay, yeah. So, in terms of luxury brands and luxury merchandise, I was always the kid in school that was, kind of dressing strange or like, trying to be different, or like I was really into, skateboarding and things of that nature. So with that being said, that evolved to, having a love just for, high-end products and things that, other people just simply cannot find, or, if they can find, they'll pay the premium for. So, my passions began with early with me, selling things online via various online retailers like, eBay, Grailed, and things of that nature. And it just kind of allowed me to, come to terms with and understand trend analysis, understand what things people gravitate towards, what they don't gravitate towards, and also understand margins because, at the end of the day, the goal here is to make a profit. So, even with being anything you're being passionate in, it's also important to kind of see if there's a margin for that or if there's a market for it. And then in my case I realized there was. So segueing into my time at Mercer, I was a celebrity stylist for Atlantic Records, working with acts like Lil Yachty, Honcho, tons of other things, 31 Camo. And then while I was there, there's actually a store that I became quite acquainted with, did a lot of help with their marketing work, and then moving to NYC to do PR for Jimmy Kimmel, NBA, all those things, and then eventually partnering with my business partner here in New York to have the store today.
I don't want to interrupt you, but what was the name of that store? Is that something some people maybe from Atlanta
They
still?
may know it. It's called Good Times in Atlanta. So if you're ever in Atlanta and you shop things like, Nike Dunks, denim tears, Chrome Hearts, things of that nature, you may have heard of Good Times. But I'm well acquainted with their owner. So he was kind of the person that in a way like kind of showed me the ropes.
Okay. As it relates to products, so when you look at a product, you have some raw materials to make products, okay? So let me just take a note. Afterwards, we'll do a little regroup, or I'll ask you all to do something for today's work. But for right now, don't worry about it. You can just listen in. So as it relates to raw goods, you got fabric, you got metal, you got all sorts of things that make products, right? So tell me, what would distinguish a really basic generic product and something that's made from the same exact stuff, right? But the manufacturer has been able to make people see it in a way that it becomes a luxury thing.
Right. So essentially what you're asking is how you take a product from being something that is kind of run off the mill and then turning that into something luxury, correct?
Right.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, a t-shirt would be a great example, right? So, t-shirts can be found at everything from, Walmart to Target, etc. So, what will make the question is like what will make somebody, spend more of a premium for something like that? And that all comes down to, it comes down to branding, it comes down to service, quality, and then also, yeah, like it's just about, consumer psychology, right? So, pairing your product with items, well, pairing your product with both items and entities that people see of high value. So, in the fashion space, many a times you'll see people when they come out with a brand, it's like, oh, I have to get it on the hottest artist, or I have to get it, on this NFL player, or things of that nature. And all those things are to build brand identity with at which at the end of the day, distinguish it from that Walmart t-shirt, distinguish it from that Target t-shirt, and like actually make it something that people are is coveted now. It's something that you look on TV and see. It's all these things in terms of media and like I said, overall just branding, like really bring that whole thing together.
So you use the example of Walmart or Target t-shirt, right? So let's call that a $10 item. Give
Right.
me an example of a t-shirt that might be worth far more than that, and then kind of tell us how that company does that. Like how did it move from, in our words, becoming $10 price taker item to very expensive price um, setter product? Like give me an
Okay.
example t-shirt, because
Yeah,
this would
yeah.
be
So I mean, so for example, right? So to become a price setter, kind of how I referenced in the previous question, you need to have a mix of all three. So, a great example of this would be a brand like Chrome Heart, which I mean, I'm sure many of you guys have seen it around. They're quite popular right now. And then, what they've been able to do there is, kind of with that overall mix, they've made it heavily exclusive, right? So that plays into their branding, like oftentimes even requiring consumers to actually make an appointment before even going into the store. And then oftentimes once you're into the store, then it's like you still have to, get to know the associates. Like they've made it into like a real family-based environment almost. So it's like, at the end, from a brand perspective, when a consumer is buying into this, they feel like they're a part of something, right? So they feel like they're a part of the brand. And then also, in terms of service, right? Providing a service is necessary. Like I said, kind of that overall, it's almost like a club when you think about it. You can think of it like a club. And then, you know, in terms of Chrome Hearts, they give certain consumers, the ability to make one of one items. So then you can take these things outside of the store and then, kind of show off in the public space and be like, hey, look, I have one of one Chrome Hearts on, or different things like that. Like, kind of those head turning things, which, kind of plays into the overall branding. And then, in terms of the last thing, in terms of quality, right? You know, we always hear things like, you know, made in the US, like these are US made products. And then, you know, this scenario also, you know, bleeds into the retail space where, you know, even we see it with a brand, even such as like Chrome Hearts, where it's like, you know, all of our products are made in Los Angeles. All of our factory is like, you know, family workers and things of that nature. So it really get, like I said, it really plays back into like their overall brand of just, you know, exclusivity, you know, like kind of making a family and community around it. And you know, all these three things together, you know, come together to like truly make the brand a powerhouse. And you know, these it will only continue to grow. And then, you know, we also see it kind of being replicated in other brands that are coming up as well.
Now, having said that, how much would a Chrome Heart t-shirt? So we use $10 Walmart. How much does a
Mm-hmm.
um, how much would a Chrome Heart t-shirt cost?
Right. So, you know, being that, and it's interesting, even with this brand, you know, I've been shopping with this brand since, you know, 2017. Now it's 2024, the end. So that's almost, you know, that's almost 8 years now. And with that being said, you know, when I first started shopping at Chrome Hearts, you know, a t-shirt would be, say, $180, right? Which was even high back then. But now, you know, kind of like I said, with their overall rise in brand popularity and everything like that, you know, we've seen this same t-shirt, you know, retail for $295. So it kind of just go and again, you know, these things are selling out. And you know, there's people come in this store every day to see there's none left. So you know, they're doing a great job, and they're really you know, they're really like pushing their brand forward and making it of something of value in the community as well.
Thank you. So as a retailer, which, of course, having a store, being a retailer, how do you decide which products, because there are a lot of products out there, which products do you want to sell? Like, are you going to sell high-end products? Are you going to sell lower-end products? How does a retailer make that decision if they're going to sell a lot of the lower end or less of the high end? Like, speak from your point of view. You can't speak for all retailers,
Of
obviously.
course. Yeah, of course. So, you know, from my point of view, again, you know, owning a high fashion showroom, you know, in Soho, so in the heart of the city, essentially, in terms of, you know, shopping, fashion, you know, the newest things, like, you know, key emphasis on the newest things, right? So, being in New York, you know, opposed to other markets, you know, people here are always, you know, looking for the newest thing, like, what's the thing no one has yet? And then from a high fashion space, you know, that's even more elevated. So, you know, in terms of deciding what products to include in your repertoire, it really boils down to just, you know, understanding your consumer base. You know, what's the income in this area? You know, what's the demographic as far as age? You know, all these. What's the demographic as far as, you know, occupation? You know, all of these things come together to really give you an idea of the community around you. And you know what a lot of retailers forget, that is really honestly the most important thing, you know, especially from a grassroots level, is building something that's servicing your community, you know. So it's called a gap in the market, right? So in terms of a gap in the market, you know, in my case, as a high fashion showroom in a place like Soho, where there's, you know, tons of high fashion stores, there's tons of things. One thing that's really pushed us to the forefront is being someone that, you know, specializes in niche materials, niche items that, you know, are either, you know, historically relevant, in terms of, say, oh, one item for example is, you know, I have the a 2006 fitted hat that was only released at the New Era store grand opening in 2006, for example. Or even like, and then I'll have the CEO of New Era come in and be like, wow, I've never seen these outside of the archive. So it gives my store a pull, because, you know, people will, they know that they'll come there and then, you know, be able to learn about items first, but then also be exposed to items that, you know, they wouldn't experience elsewhere. And then, you know, that really pushes us in to the forefront, opposed to, you know, the 30 other resale stores on the block as well. So I feel like that's definitely a way to encapsulate it. And then, you know, even just lastly, I mean, it comes down to, you know, also taking risks. I mean, at the end of the day, as a retailer, one edge that you have is, you know, being able to do things first. So when you're able to do things first, again, it comes back to, you know, people knowing that, you know, you're the premier person, like you're the person that's like, you know, adding value to the community in that way.
Are margins generally better for luxury products? I know they are for the manufacturer, but what about retail? Are margins normally better for luxury products or for lower end products?
I mean, typically, so even speaking outside of my showroom, right? The margins would typically be better, on those lower end products. I mean, when you look at a major retailer like Nike, Nike's, major cash generator isn't the shoes, it's not the collaborations, it's actually their socks. So with that being said, it's quite interesting because although those lower end products oftentimes aren't like the main attraction, those really are those cash generators, right? So in my scenario, right, the we have items at my showroom that are upwards of $20,000, but you're not selling those every day. So with that being said, it's important to have those items in, say, in my case, like the 50 to 150 range, because at the end of the day, one, we're paying, like, we try to hit each time, it's called a 1.6 profit margin. So that means we're making about 60% of our money back each time we're making a buy and sell type of transaction. And so, with that being said, it's all about balance. It's all about having those items that, keep the doors open and like allow you to be able to continue doing business. And then also having those items that are seen more so as museum pieces of higher tickets.
What's the most rare or expensive thing that's currently in the show?
That's currently in the showroom. Wow.
Okay. That
So, well, I can tell you two. I can tell you the most expensive thing we've recently sold, and I can tell you what's currently in the shop. So the first thing we've recently sold is actually going back to Chrome Hearts. We sold a one of one jacket that was gifted from the owner of the brand for $20,000 about 2 weeks ago. And then currently the most expensive item in the store is around $18,000, being a Louis Vuitton Sharon Barber Mickey Mouse bag. So it's like it's sometimes it gets up there.
a
Yeah,
Louis Vuitton mouse bag. Okay, I've heard of it all. All right.
right.
For a student that might be wanting to go into luxury goods or retailing, any, I know you could talk for a long time on this, the short version, but
Right, right, right.
what should they be doing?
I mean, wow. Like she already knew I could talk forever on this one. But on a serious note though, if you want to get into, retailing or luxury goods, it all comes down to knowledge. It all comes down to like any other field, it comes down to, understanding the history of things and understanding, why they are the way that they are. So in terms of luxury goods, I mean, if you want to get into that, it all comes down to, just being just exploring, just being curious. I mean, you see somebody in a nice outfit on the street. Oh, what pants are those? What jacket is that? And it's like at the end of the day, all of those things give you knowledge, right? So then segueing into the next point, once you have the knowledge, you know what to buy. So when you know what to buy, it gives you that edge versus other people who are just typically, oh yeah, I saw this on StockX for this, and then I want to sell it for this, but that's not really how it works anymore. And now it's more so, niches. Now it's more so people are deal hunting, and it's really about, providing your consumer the best item for the best price, and then also explaining to them why it is the best item. Why should I care about this $20,000 jacket? Why should I care about this $18,000 bag? Because it's like it all comes down to the knowledge. And then lastly, I mean, it just comes down to just starting. You don't have to have a huge store. You don't have to have $1 million to start this. At the end of the day, I started selling clothes in my dorm room in college, and I've seen people open their own appointment only shops out of a storage unit. So it really boils down to really just starting and not being complacent or waiting for the perfect moment, because oftentimes, I mean, I'm sure you guys may have heard previously, when it comes to chasing a goal or a dream that you have, there really is no perfect moment. So overall, those three things, but most importantly, just get it started. Just start making that move.
Um, okay, any, thank you very much. Any questions from any questions out there? Any students have any questions for Myles about retailing,
I would love to
breaking,
answer some questions for sure.
breaking your mama's heart when you tell her that you're not gonna major in accounting anymore? Yeah. Who's your favorite celebrity that you work with? Oh boy, who's your favorite celebrity that you work with?
My favorite celebrity that I've worked with. Um, I mean, from a perspective of just like having fun, I would say, ASAP Ferg was a great one just because, he was great energy, like a cool guy. It was like somebody that I've been loving ASAP Mob since I was a kid. So it was cool working with him. And then also I would say, Rich the Kid was cool. Definitely just because of another full circle moment, somebody that I've been listening to for a while. And then I would say also Sexy Red, but she's just a wild one. So she was cool though. She was cool. She was cool. She was cool.
That's not is that a question or you? Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, can you say the least favorite? How about you say the attributes of some of your least favorite?
Oh, my least favorite. Wow. It's a lot of ones that are sometimes in that category. But attributes of an artist that as that is like very hard to work with. I wouldn't like obviously not gonna air anybody out, but I mean at the end of the day, it's just about artists not willing to take direction. A lot of times artists also have the tendency to disrespect stylists as far as like, oh, I don't need a stylist. So, but then it's like, why are we here then? You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, it just comes down to like, a lot of times, sometimes artists are rude or different things of that nature, or like, there's drug use involved. But, at the end of the day, I mean, there's ups and downs, but it's typically pretty fun. It's typically pretty fun. Also, another favorite because I left him out. O3 Greedo just did his album cover, so that was cool as well. But yeah,
Athletes.
athletes. My favorite athlete to work with by far, Xavier McKinney. He now plays for the Green Bay Packers. He's actually leading the league in interceptions this season. So shout out my boy. Very cool. We styled him for Paris Fashion Week, so that was just very rewarding just to see like yeah, just to be recognized even outside of the music scene, and just start branching into sports and things of that nature. It was really cool to kind of see what the overall NFL guide process is like. It was really cool.
Question. Yes. Okay. Well, has there been a major setback in your career and how did you recover from that?
Okay. A major setback, yes, of course, tons of setbacks. But I mean, I would say, a major setback, say for example, when I first moved to New York, I used to keep, all my clothes in my car. Me from South Carolina, I'm not used to city life, right? So I kept a huge chunk of all this stuff in my car. Long story short, you guys know what happened. It got broken into, all the clothes were gone. And the way that I bounced back from that was just you know, continuing to move forward, right? So it's like, I lost all that inventory and things of that nature, but I didn't lose everything. So because I didn't lose everything, my next move was, okay, what can I do now? And it's like going back to what I know. So previously, as I mentioned, I was doing business in Atlanta, like working with retailers in Atlanta. So my first thing was, okay, bet I'm going to take a flight back to Atlanta and make some money in Atlanta and come back to New York. So obviously, that may not be the direct I guess solution in you guys' case or whatever you're going against, but it's always about continuing to move forward. It's always about forward progression, and it's always about attention to detail, right? If you keep attention to detail and you're stringent with that, you can really limit your mistakes. You can't eliminate them, but you will limit them. And when you limit mistakes, you make your forward progression go a lot quicker.
Yeah. Okay, where's your, your best favorite city? What's been your favorite city to work in? I guess either, I don't know, long term, short term,
Do you know
whatever.
what I'm gonna say? You feel
One of two.
yeah, right. Nah, my favorite city is by far to work in is Paris, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Paris because just the like the connections that I have there, I'm connected with everyone from, the top club promoters, then to, people who are the top importers of BMWs in the country to, stylists, designers. It's just a really cool mix of people that I'm acquainted with there. And then, also Europe is just very much so fashion forward. Many a times, getting these new season products before, like, months before, I saw pieces in Balenciaga in Paris this summer that won't be in US retailers until the end of the year. So, it's always cool to, go over there, connect with various creatives, but then on top of that, also, see things and come back with a fashion forward mindset to really be able to again service my community and, give them that knowledge of what's coming.
How many students are familiar with Macari? The Macari online marketplace? Anybody familiar with that? Okay, I thought you might say LA and the Macari.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, LA is cool. I mean, let's just get this straight. I love working with Mercari. They're one of our sponsors for the showroom. And also, being able to do a collaborative event with them for 2 weeks in LA, being flown out, staying in, the president of the company's mansion, literally right on Melrose Avenue. I mean, that's a experience that I'll never be able to forget. Like, it was truthfully amazing. I just don't like LA. I just don't like LA at the end of the day. So
All right, well, we're gonna get back to our accounting. We took this time out for marketing, but before you go, I just want to tell them that I told them our Marrakesh story from the summer with the not being able to sit down because we didn't have a, whatever they call it, a section. Remember, I had to get out
oh
of
right. Yeah, yeah. She's not used to the club culture. Yeah. Gotta get that section.
time to go home. Time to go
Gotta get
home.
that. Nah, hey, I'm gonna tell your class, tell them to get the section. Is this it gotta go up every weekend?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Myles. Like I said, having a person live and in person versus a video, I thought would be a nice change. So thank you for your input. And yeah, thanks a lot. I will speak to you later.
Yeah. Talk to you later. Good talking to y'all.
So thank you.
All right, man. Peace. All right.